Question is, do we need more border security money or less? I think most people would say more. I just think it's an unreasonable position for them to take, that $5 billion is too much, wasteful, when they voted for a lot more than that in the past.
Senator Lindsey Graham calling out Democrats, House Republicans trying to muster the votes to fund the wall and keep the government open. Senator Shelley Moore Capito chairs the Appropriations Committee, the Republican from West Virginia. How you doing, Senator? Good morning to you.
Doing great.
And thank you for your time. What gives here? The wall or the shutdown?
Well, I don't believe we'll go to a shutdown. I don't think it's a smart move. I think it disenfranchises a lot of Americans. They lose trust, and I think we should be able to work this out. But we got to look at what's happening at the border. It's escalating. Last month, in October, 51,000 people illegally apprehended, and we know we didn't get them all. So I think drugs and human trafficking and all this just rises to I think the president's argument that we need more dollars in our border security, which includes the wall.
All right, you're speaking of the president. Here's the tweet on the wall. Here it is, quote, "I often stated, one way or the other," he writes, "Mexico's going to pay for the wall. This has never changed. Our new deal with Mexico and Canada, the USMCA, is so much better than the old, very costly and anti-USA NAFTA deal that just by the money we save, Mexico is paying for the wall." Is he right or wrong on that?
Well, I think he makes a valid point. However, the point of the matter is this is in our national security for the communities down on the border, for my communities in West Virginia who are just ravaged by fentanyl and heroin. You know, this is, I think, money that the American people feel that we should be spending to secure our borders and to make this situation much safer and better for our country. So I'll leave the debate on if Mexico's actually paying for it. I'll let the president make that case.
Okay, Bernie Sanders with Brett last night. You know, a lot of Democrats just a few years back supported a lot of money to go toward border security. By whatever definition, here was what Bernie Sanders says now.
I think border security is enormously important, but I think building a wall is a very costly and inefficient way to do that. And I'm not alone. I mean, many experts think that given the kind of technology that we have today, we can protect our southern border without building the wall and spending $5 billion. Furthermore, Brett, I'm not quite sure. He may, but I'm not quite sure that he has the votes in the House.
Let me get to the House question in a moment here, but the wording that is used here is interesting. Do you call it a wall? Do you call it fencing? Do you call it technology? It's more than just a game of semantics, is it not, for lawmakers?
Well, you know, it's all of that. It's more Border Patrol agents, it's more fencing, it's more detection materials at the port of entries to catch the fentanyl. This is a comprehensive system. But what I would say to Senator Sanders is the four major sectors where walls were built, we saw illegal immigration plummet. So to say they don't work, particularly in the congested areas in Southern California, in the San Diego, Tijuana sector, for instance, these have proven and statistically show that walls are effective in areas. So it's not going to be everywhere. We all know that in terms of a physical wall. But we have got to tighten the loopholes and close the gaps, because 51,000 people illegally were apprehended in the month of October, and in December we had our highest single apprehension day.
Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama years ago supported billions more funding for border security, and they're not getting to that number now. What does that tell you? Does it tell you they don't want to give the president a victory on this, or does it tell you it will not happen?
Oh, I think absolutely. It's all about the politics. It's all about the president. I think that they voted for border security, billions of dollars of the Secure Fence Act, which resulted in partially in wall and other methods. So it's pretty obvious to me it's political upmanship here. We're going to see a switching of the Congress leadership in the next month, and I think it's a bit of a gotcha game. But we're fully committed to try to meet the president and hope that he can negotiate this, which is where I think it has to be to a satisfying conclusion.
I've got to run, yes or no? Does it happen or not?
Oh, I think it happens.
Senator,
I'm always an optimist, though. I'm always an optimist.
Thank you for your time, and Merry Christmas to you. You bet. Thanks for being here.
Our headliner next hour, Senator John Kennedy, joins us as the spending battle continues to heat up.
Also, Sandra, check out the frightening moments. A military jet crashes into the ocean. An update on how the pilot is fighting for his life today. It's coming up.
President Trump waging war with Democrats over funding the border wall just days before a new deadline to avert a partial government shutdown as House Republicans try hard to pass it.
I think if we focus on what we're all interested in, I hope, which is a secure border, then I think we can get there.
I'm old enough to remember when Mexico was going to pay for this wall. It seems to me that we ought to be able to work this out. The American people want us to solve real problems, not to have government shutdown fights over a difference in spending levels.
I think border security is enormously important, but I think building a wall is a very costly and inefficient way to do that. I'm not quite sure that he has the votes in the House.
The president has got a point. He does have the ability to protect the country under the Constitution.
Congressman Lee Zeldin is a member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee. He joins us now. So, funding the border wall, Congressman, is there going to be a government shutdown over this debate?
It's certainly possible. It's looking like that. I would say over the course of the next 6-7 days, as you get towards the middle of next week, you might see jockeying on both sides, Republicans, Democrats, the president, Senator Schumer, Nancy Pelosi. But it may not be until the middle to end of next week where we can be able to answer that question more concretely, with the government funding not running out until next Friday. And it should be, it's worth pointing out that 70–80+% of the federal government is funded for the rest of the fiscal year. But as far as that partial government shutdown, this time next week, hopefully we'll have a more solid answer, and hopefully it can be avoided with the added funding that's necessary for border security.
Well, you heard Sherrod Brown there saying the president used to say that Mexicans would pay for that wall. Well, the president addressed that in a tweet this morning saying this: "I often stated, quote, one way or the other, Mexico is going to pay for the wall. This has never changed," he writes. "Our new deal with Mexico and Canada, the USMCA, is so much better than the old, very costly and anti-USA NAFTA deal that just by the money we save, Mexico is paying for the wall." I think this probably just gives us a taste of that jockeying to which you referenced that we're going to see over the next few days.
Well, that's right. A lot of money goes back and forth between the United States and Mexico, and in different ways. We are seeing an improvement over what was NAFTA that is going to help the American economy, the American companies, the American worker. We'll be able to create more jobs here in the United States, more tax dollars being paid, so that what was negotiated is a net benefit to the United States over the status quo. So the point is well taken, and I think that we really need to look at it with a broader view, that there are many different ways that our relationship to the United States and Mexico can improve, where we're helping the American economy and help the American taxpayer. You know,
it's really fascinating, that Oval Office meeting the other day. It's not too far from our memories, because it was a big moment to see Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and the president in the Oval Office, hashing out, trying to negotiate with the cameras rolling. And in that meeting, the president said he would not blame Democrats for a shutdown over the $5 billion demand, because he would be glad to take the mantle of responsibility. And I know that really stunned some Republicans to hear him say that. Did the president give up leverage in this debate by saying that?
I think the president was just trying to do the right thing. He was trying to say what was right. Listen, if we're going to have this debate and blame is going to go around because we're having a debate over border security, because the president in that situation, saying he wants to combat the heroin opioid abuse epidemic and drug trafficking. It's not just about people crossing illegally, but things that cross illegally as well. If you are concerned about sex trafficking, drug trafficking, human trafficking, we should have this debate. We should improve national security. So the president was trying to say, I believe, that he will own it. But I think what's really important to note here is that we need 60 votes in the Senate. And I don't see the problem with getting the 60 votes in the Senate amongst the Republicans. It's that you need to have some level of bipartisanship. Senator Schumer can't just prevent all of the Senate Democrats from voting for it. So ultimately, even if the president says that, it's really on the Democrats if they're the ones not providing the votes to secure our border.